Have you been to a poetry reading open mic? Oh boy.
Where it's been allowed.
It's been a long time. I started at poetry reading open mics. Holy shit. Guys, my fucking first year I did comedy, and listen, I don't mean to fucking, I don't want to blow my horn here, but it doesn't surprise me that I got as far as I did in comedy. Because in the beginning, I did anything I had to do to get on stage. And this is why I knew when I got here, when I got off the fucking boat and came back to Jersey, that I would just wait to see if I would put my sneakers on my own. On my own. No money, no nothing. I want to see if I could go, I'm not doing anything tonight. There's an 8 o'clock spot. Let me look over my material. And let me go over that, because guys, I know me. When I started, you have no idea the places I went to. You are not going to tell me no. Listen, you're never going to tell me no. Let's get this fucking straight. When you're in love with something, Mike and I were talking about responsibilities. If I had what I had now, like if I had Mercy when I started comedy, and my wife, we would have lived in a room this big. This would have been our fucking apartment. That's for starters. I couldn't afford anything, and neither could my fucking wife, okay? So you go to an open mic, and you give it everything that you got. When I started comedy, I used to drive to Cheyenne, Wyoming to bomb. And then and then drive back with that bomb. Because let me tell you something. When you're sitting by yourself in a car and you're thinking about your bomb and it's something that you want to do it so bad that you fucking taste it. You could taste that fucking microphone. I wanted to do comedy so bad nothing was going to stop me. So if it was in Boulder, like I said, I told you guys that story about the Chinese guy, Ron, that I would show up to his little fucking restaurant and put them together. I was doing comedy in Chinese restaurants. First of all, I stole that idea. I didn't steal it. I heard that they were doing comedy in Boston. All those Boston comics got huge by doing this restaurant once a week on Monday nights. It was upstairs. It was a Chinese restaurant. I always thought that was the coolest thing I ever heard in my life. When on Christmas Eve, there's a Chinese restaurant in San Francisco every year that brings in a Jewish comic to do comedy on Christmas or Christmas Eve at a Chinese restaurant. I've always loved that thing about a Chinese restaurant. So, I used to go to Ron, and I asked every Chinese restaurant in Boulder. The one I delivered at, they didn't have a stage, but Ron had an outdoor area where you could do fucking stand-up comedy. I used to go to Cheyenne, Wyoming. I used to go to Cheyenne, Wyoming for lunch. It's an hour and a half drive to get shrimp and lobster sauce, and then I would sit there the rest of the day to do Bobby whatever's room, some comic up there. It's still around. I still think he has the room up in Loveland, Colorado. Bobby Blotz, I forget what his fucking name was, But I think the most painful thing I had to do was go to a poetry reading. I used to go to the poetry readings, I think, Wednesday nights and Saturday nights, because Saturday nights, no comedy club's going to put you up for a guest spot. You just sitting there unless you have your own thing going on, unless you're working. Nobody wants to see an open mic on a Saturday night, so you're dead. When you first start comedy or anything like that, nobody's going to give you love on the weekend. So you get yourself a job fucking Ubering. For me, it was delivering Chinese food, selling Coke, delivering fucking Domino's pizza, whatever the fuck I could do. But I would shoot, after I delivered Domino's pizza, I would shoot over to Penny Lane Coffee House. Fucking loved that place in Boulder. And it was, a bunch of fucking hippies, a bunch of wannabe, Woodstockers and shit. And I would go in there, and the thing I remember the most was maybe my second comedy, the time I went to an open poetry reading. There was a dude up there, and he was doing, what's that, when you just talk about shit, like, they call it something. It's an art now. Talking like when you talk story. It's not storytelling. It was poetry reading. It was poetry night, so it was kind of a poem. But anyway, this motherfucker stayed up there for like 15, 20 minutes talking about that he ran and 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 he saw mountains and hills. And he keeps talking about I ran. And I was with a guy that I was in the halfway house with. In fact, that's how I would get the spots at the poetry reading. He was like an old geezer. He was like my age now. And he was a bank robber, but he was dating a hot little fucking girl that was a sweetheart. She ran the coffee shop, so she told me, she goes, they don't want you to come in here and do comedy, but I'll let you in at night. This motherfucker went up and he's like, I ran. I kept running through the marsh and all this shit. Me and my buddy are like, what the fuck is he talking about? So when she goes, Joey, you're up next. I just went up there and mimicked the fucking guy. So I ran. I hit a fucking tree with my head. I didn't even know what I said. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. So I would do that shit. And then they had an open mic that was all night. They had a fucking a poetry reading that was till 6 a.m. Come on, guys. People would come in there and start like with their shit, and they smoke those weird cigarettes, cloves and fucking, drinking coffee. And I would go down there, man, and they chased me the fuck out of there. But I didn't give a fuck. I would wait. I'd actually go home and put it on my calendar. All right. So I got there Sunday the 15th, and they throw me out. I can't go back there till Sunday the 29th. And then I would go back down the 29th. I used to do an open mic after a fucking, what's that shit, Achy Breaky Heart? Line dancing class. Think about that shit. I used to, and people used to go, how do you go down there? They're all rednecks. I don't give a fuck. I got to get stage time. And I would basically go there to bomb. It was a number. You know, sales and comedy are a lot alike. It's a numbers game. You could lose your fucking mind for years, or you could get a pen, go on a piece of paper and write 10,000 sets backwards and just start going. 9999, 9998. You know, for comedy, you're going to have to do 10,000 spots just to get somebody's fucking name. Think about it. If you do 30 spots a month, which that's a day off or 2 sets for 15 days, right? Times 12 is 360 spots. If you did that for 10 fucking years, 360 spots for fucking 10 years, all right? Let's just make it safe. Let's pretend you fucking, I gotta get a calculator. I don't even know what my fucking calculator is here. That's how stupid I am. So this isn't easy, but I just want to make sure that I don't want to fuck you guys over. So if you did 360 spots, and that's if you didn't get hurt, that's if your girlfriend didn't dump you, that's if your mother didn't die, that's if your dog didn't get hit by a car,